Yeah, thank you so much. Uh, when we, in mid of the day, and when it is about a lunch hour or maybe after a lunch hour, when we come to hear and witness such engaging and beautiful videos with good drums, beats, that just open our senses. So it is just to revive that, yeah, we are quite alarmed and we are ready for the next interesting session to come up. The session two for the day, it's again a very interesting topic. It's new dimensions of brand communication. Uh, the eminent speakers in this panel here today is Mr. Sai Nagesh. He is the CSO from Lakshya Media. Mr. Aditya Chatterjee. Mr. Aditya Chatterjee, he's the Vice President, Content Marketing at Factors PR. Mr. Saurabh Mishra, he's the Managing Partner, Branding and Co-founder from Agenda Consulting Private Limited. Ms. Prajakta Gosavi, the Vice President, Consumer Strategy, Merkel Sokrati, and the session has been moderated by Professor Nitesh Tripathi. He's the assistant professor from Adamas University. So, taking this virtual mic to you, Professor Nitesh, would you please go ahead with moderating this session and you kindly introduce your co-panelist over here. Over to you, Nitesh.
Thank you, Chandanji. Thank you. Well, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the largest media, entertainment, and communication summit of this year. I'll be moderating this session, which is titled New Dimensions of Brand Communication. So, as you all know, last year was very hard upon us. Coronavirus brought everything to standstill with physical restrictions in place. People were confined within their homes. Companies and organizations around the world also faced lots of disruption as production and business in general came to a halt. People lost jobs, organizations had to shut down. But there were some who used this pandemic for their advantage. So the question arises, how did the organization survive and in fact thrive in the pandemic? What tactics they took up to engage with the audience? How did the brands communicate? So the focus of the session would be on brand communications and its new dimensions. So with me, we have our first speaker with us. He is Mr. Sai Nagesh. He is the Chief Strategy Officer of Indian advertising agency Lakshya Media, and he has a career spanning over 25 years. He has sold advertising space for newspapers, mentored numerous internet startups, and helped to launch television channels, as well as worked with leading advertising agencies. So I would like Mr. Nagesh to give his opening comments on this session. Over to Mr. Nagesh.
He may be joining. Can we move ahead?
Okay. Sure. So we'll move on to our next speaker, and we have with us Mr. Aditya Chatterjee. He is Vice President, Content Marketing of Adfactors PR, and he's a communication specialist with a cumulative work experience of close to 27 years. His experience includes rich editorial stints at India's leading media houses. So I would like Mr. Aditya Chatterjee to give his opening comments on the theme of the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tripathi. Am I audible?
Yes.
So you have to be a little loud, or maybe you have to set the mic in proper place.
Mic is right in front of my face. Is it better?
Better, sir. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, Professor UKC, when he briefed me about this session 3 days back, so I thought I was quite thrilled about it, and thank you so much for extending the invitation to me. So first topic is this: that how has PR communication shaped in 2020? Sort of break the question in three parts. So soon after the pandemics sort of struck in April-May 2020, I was personally involved in coining a slogan, Karuna in times of Corona. Karuna. So indeed, many of our CEOs reacting to the Corona pandemic had focused on Karuna or compassion or empathy, which is really a fellow feeling towards all stakeholders. Some even related to Bhagavan Buddha who had felt the same karuna towards sufferers some 2,800 years back. Mr. Tripathi, you have studied in BHU, right? Sarnath is not very far away, so you'll
Yes.
be knowing about this legend, right? So some of us also know that how a very young Prince Siddhartha, so far he was shielded from all kinds of poverty and grief and misery, suddenly experienced all of that, and he wanted that, that he sort of that triggered karuna in his heart and sort of compelled him to seek ways so that fellow humans may rise above misery, right? So we know of that, his historical story incident. Now, very similarly, when people were extremely worried about the COVID pandemic, lockdown, possible loss of livelihoods, and the combined effect of all of this, an uncertain future, many leaders, many CEOs, through their PR communication, expressed that they must assure all of their stakeholders that they truly care. Some said that, look, we need to show to the people that yes, we are compassionate and look beyond just selling products and services and earning profits. So this really dominated what the CEOs were talking about, the corporates were talking about in the early days. So essentially, what happened was then leadership with an overriding social responsibility and will generate goodness across the society. That was the thought, which will sort of enable us to strike a fine balance between business and humanitarian perspectives. Both these things instead of just looking at businesses. Now, very interestingly, the company that I work for, we have a client Mahindra and Mahindra. Now, imagine the same thought was later picked on and elaborated by the Mahindra Group through the findings of the Mahindra Good Business Study, revealing people's changing definition of what good business actually meant. Okay, so suddenly, we saw the percolation of that idea. Okay, not just earn good profits, but also be a good corporate citizen. So actually, on December 29th, this also commemorated 75 years of the Mahindra Group. A study over 2,000 respondents across 10 Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities looked at what the people of India, the people of Bharat, felt about, you know, what is good business, right? And these included potential customers, investors, employees, and so on. So what is interesting is just that the overarching thing that this thing that the study revealed, good business is a very deeply personal view based on individual values and experiences and life experiences. And understanding and acting on this is key to protect and enhance a company or a brand's reputation. So just saying that we are the leading producer of product XYZ is not going to be enough. It's just that we are the most profitable company in India. It's not going to be enough. It's not enough that to say that our market capitalization is this much. Okay, you need to do more. So I'll quote Anand Mahindra on this. So he went on record to say that the wider role, purpose, and meaning of what constitutes good business has never been more relevant than today. A company's social and community impact is being discussed as loudly and frequently as its balance sheets, and by more people than ever before. I absolutely believe that these broader, more inclusive expectations, whether from customers, shareholders, employers, or other members of society, can be perfectly compatible. The principal role of business leaders today is to find that mutually beneficial, which is a win-win-win situation for everybody, for common ground, for me, is the essence of good business. Each one of our own corporate milestones is accompanied by a more human one, whether it is the creation of a truly inclusive workplace or a reduced environmental impact, whether it's a deeper engagement with our communities or providing the freedom to experiment and even fail to all our employees. So it's like this. Sometimes, in your experiment, you can succeed, and sometimes you can even test failure. It's okay. The striving towards that is happening. So for example, so now the good business is associated with ethical standards, caring for the community, inclusivity, ahead of traditional business metrics such as financial performance, market leadership, profitability, or growth. So one saw that I mean, an overwhelming percentage of people, 62% of respondents believe that good business constitutes more than a financial return. Imagine 62%. Okay, 14% associated the terms with qualities like environmental consideration and community commitments. So these things are there. The young Indians, very interestingly, more than 45% of young Indians aged between 18 and 25 years gave priority to ethical standards, caring for the community and inclusivity, rather than just profits. Conversely, older respondents aged over 46 years, or 48% of total respondents, say transactional and performance metrics such as profitability, growth, and market leadership represented good business. So people who are young, they possibly have their hearts in the right place, okay? And people like us in my age group, they are giving more, I suppose, importance to profitability, growth, and market leadership. So I suppose it's a new world and the old world. And somehow I suppose a balance will come out. Also, very interestingly, 46% of respondents from tier 2 cities, which is the Bharat part of India. So the non-metro cities, right? They are saying that care for community, ethical standards, inclusivity, these are the first things which come to their minds when they hear the term good business. Imagine. So there is a, like between the young and the, people who are in the middle ages, like there is a difference. Similarly, there's a difference between India and a Bharat. Okay. So all of this is interesting. And yeah, so this sort of, this is from a, uh, from a company perspective, when you were seeing an authored article or when you were seeing a Q&A, which is looking at the philosophical aspect of business, then many corporates, they are actually looking at empathy, looking at, as I said, karuna, and looking at doing business, good business, not just doing business for profits. So that is how communication was there in Philippines. Shall I continue or
No,
do I
sir.
take a break?
Sir, I have a small question for you.
Yes, please.
We are moving to the world of digital storytelling, right? So, what are your views regarding that? I mean, how engaging or how dependable is digital storytelling in terms of brand? So, what are your views on this?
So first and foremost, when you say
Uh,
digital storytelling,
Sorry,
okay,
Aditya, can I intervene? Can you
yes,
reduce reduce the headroom of your frame? There is a little extra space in the head. The full face is not coming. That's one. Slightly, can you change the position of the camera? And can you speak a bit louder? The audio is also not very strong. Yes, better, better.
okay,
Frame is better.
thank you. Thank you for the guidance.
Please continue.
Yeah. So, when you say the digital storytelling, okay, often it means pictures and videos, right? So moving away from the text form to the pictures and videos, right? So, I'm always, tempted to, draw a parallel. Some 50,000 years back, okay, in India, we have a place called Bhimbetka, which is close to
Yes.
Bhopal. So there we see petroglyphs, which are, you know, uh, cave paintings by early Indians. Early India wasn't there, so early settlers of this subcontinent, right? And fantastic, such drawings are there. If one travels to Spain, there's a place called Altamira, where we see fantastic picture of a bison 30,000 years back. Okay. Now imagine text as we know it, okay, only came to existence from ancient Sumeria, which is present day Iraq. Whereas drawings existed 50,000 or 30,000 years back. Okay. So we are again sort of going back to visual medium, okay, but it is nothing new. I mean, it was there earlier. We moved majorly into text, okay, and we are now again moving to the visual medium, okay. So I suppose the storytelling, the art of storytelling, is going to remain the same. It is just that the tools will change. You have to be as imaginative. Okay, so as our ancient point, Kalidasa, he used to draw parallels. Okay, how is to describe, let's say, a woman's beauty. Now he would draw parallels that, just like a magnificent swan on a beautiful, moonlit night, the way, the swan's neck will be there and stuff like that. Okay, in today's date, you will simply show the picture. Okay, and probably you use some animation. So, but essentially, if you want to speak for the brand, okay, you still need to have that imagination of equating, of drawing parallels or drawing analogies. And just one more thing. See, it's like this, that this form of storytelling. Okay, if you remember that song, that एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा जैसे खिलता गुलाब. Okay, it is the same traditional thing which is being followed. Which is there in our Kalidas, and followed by so many other great poets and and authors and stuff like that. And it's there internationally as well. So that won't change. The tools will only change. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for that enlightening speech. And I do have one more question, but I'll be posing that question later. Now I'll be moving to our next speaker, and he is Mr. Saurabh Mishra. He is co-founder and managing partner, branding at Agenda Consulting, and he has 2.5 decades of experience and has led the brand strategy planning function nationally at advertising agencies such as Saatchi & Saatchi, TBWA, Everest, and Bates G and Partners. So I request Mr. Saurabh Mishra to present his views on the theme. Over to Mr. Saurabh Mishra.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Clearly.
Okay. I'm going to beg myself not to switch on the camera because I've got some issues with my bandwidth over here.
Fine.
Right. So I quickly want to speak on, because I also realize that there are more speakers and I need to move on. I think one of the most provocative questions that is being asked, and I think that's something that you had also put in, is that, is traditional advertising dead? Right?
Yes.
I find that a very interesting question. I think I caught a bit of the previous panel discussion that was happening, and Varun was speaking about it. And I've also got a couple of episodes of his podcast that advertising is dead. But I always add another bit to it. If you remember the old saying, the king is dead, long live the king. Right? So it's almost like saying that one format of advertising is dead or dying. But that does not mean that the basic discipline of advertising is dying. It's all about, how do we define traditional advertising? Is it the big television ad, the print-led communication campaign? That approach, I honestly think, is getting increasingly irrelevant. Or to put it very bluntly, in my experience across different agencies, that approach was always the bad and lazy way to craft a brand's narrative. People who did not want to put in the due diligence, did not want to put in the hard work, they found it easy to get away by looking at that definition of traditional advertising. But if you take the good traditional advertising practice, and I would actually like to drop the word traditional, good advertising practice of defining a central idea that captures the essence of what your brand is all about in an interesting and relevant way, and then finding the best expression of that idea in different media, then I don't think that advertising is dead at all. It is a fundamentally sound process. It is as relevant today as it has always been. And a second point that I want to quickly raise over here is that it is far more important today. And I think this definition of advertising has to be stretched. I'm reminded of Lord Tennyson's line, the old order changeth, yielding place to the new. So this is the old order changing, there's a new order taking over, but it is still advertising. It's still the new king. It's far more important today for brands to, what I call quote unquote, do things that represent what their core is, rather than just to say, which is where a lot of traditional advertising used to lead. The brand do are the actions that people see a brand taking. For example, a consumer products company gives away a certain amount from the sales of its products for the welfare of the girl child. You know which one of the two big leading multinationals in India, they have this whole thing with the welfare of the girl child. A second example is a leading sports brand, which in the US associated with a sports person who was officially disowned by his sports authorities for a stand that he took on a social issue. Okay, that was an action that the brand took. The advertising, the billboard that they put up, the digital media that covered it later was actually just a way of communicating that. But those actions are now becoming far more important. The brand do is becoming far more important than the brand say. And how do you manage that entire thing of brand do? Do you want me to quickly cover the second question that you raised about digital storytelling?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So the world of digital storytelling, in my opinion, is an external view taken by the digital migrants. And I consider myself a migrant. I'm on the other side of middle ages. I work with a lot of young people, but that does not mean I'm young. So I'm a digital migrant. It is a view that is taken by the digital migrants about a world that is increasingly owned today by digital natives, which is people like yourself. You have been born into a digital world. You have grown up to be digital natives. You speak this language naturally. I have had to learn this language as an external, as a migrant. Let me give you an analogy. It is like being fish in a water. It is only those people outside the water who have a discussion about what living in water is all about. The fish knows no other way of existence. Do you see that? The fish is a water native, and any other world is meaningless to the fish. Right? So, if it is a digital world that we live in today, then the best storytelling is with stories crafted for and relevant to this world. So what I'm saying here is that it is all about powerful storytelling, and which is where I completely agree with the previous panelist. It's all about powerful storytelling in a digital world. So talking about the world of digital storytelling seems anachronistic and outdated as a concept today. It's all about powerful storytelling that stays. It happens to be in a digital world. So that is what I wanted to cover.
Sir,
do you want? Yeah, please.
Sir, I do have one question. Apart from this, I do want you to cover other points as well, but I have one question. So basically, I have interest in media psychology, and I have a question. With the decrease in attention span over the years, and obviously it keeps on decreasing. So what is the challenge? I mean, how do we deal with this, that decrease in attention span? Because ultimately it is leading to shorter content, right? So what are your views on this? I mean, yes, sir.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. We are all, I think I got diagnosed very late in life that I apparently had ADD, attention deficit disorder. And now I'm told that not having attention disorder with youngsters is actually a disorder because every youngster today seems to have attention deficit disorder. I don't even know if it's disorder anymore. I don't think you can call it disorder. So you're absolutely right. I think it's about, making sure that content is perhaps shorter. But more than that, what I would say is that it's not about making content shorter. It's about making content more interesting. So I come from the old world of advertising. I started in advertising a little more than 2.5 decades back. We used to have this really gifted copywriters who could craft, who were what we used to call them the masters of the long copy. Right? And everybody even then used to say, itna copy kaun padhega? Who's going to read so much of copy? I mean, you're just boring the customer. You're boring the customer when you have got something boring to say. If you have got their interest, then they're going to listen to you for a very long time too. So while I completely understand that the short format content is very interesting, but I still see movies that are made which are like, not just an hour or 20 minutes. I think all the movies should have then gone into the 2020 format. The test match of movies, which is the 1.5 hour plus, the 2 hour plus movie shouldn't have been made. But if you have an interesting story to tell, if you've got something which is relevant, which makes an impact with the audience that you're talking to, I don't think that the length of the content is really too much of an issue. The length is an issue when you've got boring stuff to talk about. I mean, you're a professor. In your own class and the classes that you attend, there are professors who walk in and the students line up to attend their classes for even if it is back-to-back 2 classes, 90 minutes, 100 minutes sometimes, back-to-back classes, they're just attending them because they're such interesting speakers. But then there are the other lot of people, even 45 minutes becomes difficult. At the end of 15, 20 minutes, they're figuring out ways to escape the class. Is the problem with the attention, deficit quotient of the students, or is the problem with the professor being irrelevant in this completely new changed environment? I think it's the problem with the content creators. The challenges with the content creators. You've got to communicate something. That communication has to be extremely powerful, whether you can say it in 5 minutes, 1 minute, or 50 minutes. As long as your customer is interested, your audience is interested and follows your story, I don't think you have an issue at all.
So you can address the other questions as well. We have ample of time.
Okay, where are the questions now? I had them somewhere.
Sir, I can
you can ask. You should ask.
I can ask. So,
sure.
Sir, what are the newer dimensions in brand building? Which we are witnessing today on the digital platform? Newer dimensions in building brands digitally.
So I'm not really a digital expert. Like I told you, self-confessedly, I am a digital migrant. I'm not a digital native. But one of the things, I'm a huge student of consumers. Okay, I follow consumer behavior. I mean, whether it is with Generation Alpha, as Varun calls them, Gen Z, the millennials, or even the older consumers. I'm extremely interested in what consumers do. Brands are nothing but something that exists in the space between the ears of people. Okay, it's something that exists in the minds of these consumers. So it's very important to understand. You spoke about the psychology of media. I think the fundamental thing is the psychology of human beings. Okay, what makes these human beings tick? And I think from that perspective, from what I'm seeing with consumers right across, I spoke about this earlier, what the brand does is increasingly more important than what the brand says. These are the actions that take. These actions define and complete the brand experience for the customer. It is about ensuring every interaction or experience of the customer with the brand at every touch point is true to the essence and promise of the brand. So as an external migrant, digital migrant, one of the things that I noticed where digital is becoming so critical today is that, I think we have some marketing people here, sales and marketing people here, and I think they get quite bored with this whole discussion about, the core of the brand, storytelling, etc. Ultimately, they're worried about, ki isme mera dhanda kaise hoga? Are you helping me close a sale? Right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the customer's journey, and I think the customer journey mapping is something that digital marketing today is giving us huge insights into, that what is the customer journey that's happening? What are the different stops on the way of this journey? What is the path to purchase? At each stage of this customer journey, what is the customer thinking, feeling, doing? That stays traditional, that is timeless. That's got nothing to do with digital. Where digital helps me today is that the kind of insights I can get into the mind of this consumer, I've never had before. I am actually understanding consumers by decoding their behavior today rather than decoding some responses that they give me in a conventional market research. So I actually, because of the data that Facebook shares with us, the data that Google shares with us, we understand that it's not just what the intention of the consumer is, but they actually help me track on a mass basis what the behavior of the consumer is as is going forward. Once I understand that behavior, how is advertising changing therefore in this whole digital landscape? Advertising is changing by giving me newer goals. I have to therefore make sure that each one of those touch points I impact with my brand communication, with some sort of a brand intervention, with some sort of a brand action in a way that the customer is moving on further to the next level of his path to purchase, her path to purchase, with my brand top of mind for them. So I think digital is empowering me to do many things that I have traditionally done over the last 25 years. So I find that a very, very exciting space personally.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving these valuable insights on the topic. Especially, I like the part, I found it very interesting where you talked about digital migrants and digital natives. I really connected with it. Now, we have with us our next speaker, and she is Ms. Prajakta Gosavi. She is Vice President, Customer Strategy, Market Socrates, and is a startup professional with more than 18 years of leadership experience in building teams across customer experience, operations, product management, proactive business planning, sales and digital marketing, process transitions, and business process re-engineering. So I would request Ms. Gosavi to speak on the theme of the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Nitesh. And I was just hearing all the other panelists, and I think each of those perspectives are very interesting because the world that I come from is slightly more focused towards digital. So to just get a view of what the other side looks like, I think it has been a extremely interesting last couple of minutes. From the way we look at digital marketing evolving right now, I think to just summarize what everything Mr. Mishra said and what Mr. Chatterjee said, I think that combined with digital as a tool can be extremely powerful because with the know-how of what the consumer wants, and like Mr. Mishra was mentioning, that today there is a view via digital to clearly understand what the customer is looking for and then build inclusive content on top of it, build brand communication on top of it, which is more intended towards speaking to the end user in a more personalized manner. So I think that's the power that digital brings when combined with traditional advertising. So the way I look at it is it's not going to be either or, but it's going to be interwoven to just deliver a better customer experience and a better engagement from a brand strategy standpoint. So just addressing the next question that, which I think was put out, is traditional advertising dead? So honestly, pandemic must have been a powerful accelerator in the way digital is perceived today. But if you were to look at just pure stats, while overall advertising dropped by around 17%, but digital grew 15%. So yes, is digital going to be a focus moving forward? Yes, because it will almost touch spends equivalent to that of TV spends by 2022. But is it tempting to ditch traditional advertising? Absolutely not, because the previous session where the other panelists spoke about, the actual human interaction, the touch, feel, the events. I think all of it combined together with power of artificial intelligence, technology, tools, the various insights, surveys that digital could bring in, just is going to make the two more powerful. So I think it is a collaborated approach rather than looking at it as an either or. And while digital will continue to grow, the traditional medium, because now we've been hunkered in our houses due to the pandemic, I think people all want to go out and have that in-person interaction. So that's also just going to give traditional advertising the next leap that we all are looking for, and that's how I'm looking at it.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what are the trends, what are the new things that you are seeing in your area? What do you think is in the future, near future?
So the way digital is evolving right now,
Yeah.
I think it is a combination of the way content is created today. So earlier content was more around marketing speak, where we used to put out content holistically, but today you see content has become more inclusive. I think the pandemic has also got people to look at content more from human first perspective rather than just selling a product or a service. So it is going to be content marketing that will continue to evolve. Apart from that, I think from a technology standpoint, just the way brand perceives uh, other traditional mediums of communication, right? Whether it is advertisement, whether it's TV ads, billboards, storytelling. I think all of that, when combined with digital, where YouTube, Facebook, all of the infographics are just becoming the new way people are communicating. And like you were talking about attention span, I think all of these just allow you to speak to your consumer in a faster, more integrated, and in a very focused manner. So I think whether it's programmatic media buying, it's branding automation, it's branding brand lift surveys, brand recalls, any marketing technologies that have now started to evolve in this space. The growth of usage of voice technology is also something I think we see growing as a brand medium, especially in the tier 2, tier 3 cities that Mr. Chatterjee was referring to as Bharat, because Vernac itself is growing. So the drive for vocal for local is also something that we see growing. And overall, I think influencer communication or influencer content that is generated by the user is again another area that we see that will continue to grow from a brand standpoint.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have another question. I noticed this, meteoric rise of Mr. Elon Musk. Now he is the richest person in the world. And I see him frequently interacting and posting on social media. And he has posted lots of things, and whatever he endorses becomes popular, right? So there was this, trend where this small company called GameStop, and he tweeted regarding that. And in just overnight, it became a sensation, and the prices of that GameStop started rising. The stocks went up. So, so as a person, he's a brand in himself, right? So how do you see he's using social media, and he's using social media to promote other brands as well, including his own company, due to which he's the richest person in the world. What are your views regarding?
So I believe traditional marketing also, whether it's TV advertisement, has always done that, right? We've always seen big names and associated them with a brand, and that's how we've reinforced brand credibility and brand trust. So if you were to look at this in a similar light, social media is become a powerful tool. It continues to grow in terms of consumption. We see a massive growth across India and across the globe in the sheer amount of social consumption that happens from a content standpoint. So somebody as for his stature as Elon Musk, if he is endorsing something, I think it just brings in so much of attention because of the kind of influence that today social media has, because of the number of followers, because of the number of people who actually consider his viewpoint to be important. So I think social acts as a medium to reach out to an audience set that would ideally otherwise wouldn't have been so easily accessible. And that's where the whole concept of virality comes into picture, where you say today that something you put out and some videos turn out to be viral, and they necessarily are not from people, the greatest of people. It's just some, and I think TikTok did that to a very large extent, right? It took
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
So yeah, so I think social combined with the ability to endorse a brand is just a powerful combination, and any technology that can empower that will continue to build this medium more stronger.
Yeah. So
Can I add
thank you,
something to
ma'am.
that? Can I
Yeah.
add something to that? That's really interesting, Prajakta. But I just wanted to
Yes,
add
sir.
to that. That the technical part I don't understand. So thanks for enlightening us on that. One of the reasons why I think everything that Elon Musk says and does has such a huge impact on the world is because he's, I think, one of the most authentic and interesting human beings in this world.
Very true.
That
Very
authenticity is right, that comes right across. So it is not just about the example that you referred to right now. But if you go back and if you read up some of the other stuff about Elon Musk, he was also on a podcast, live podcast, where he was actually smoking pot with the host.
Yes.
So
That's
I mean,
true.
as you say, wo ganja pee kar kuch bol diya usne. And that cost, I think, a couple of $1 billion to be shaved off the stock, and his board was furious and stuff like that. But the people who follow Elon Musk see that as the actions of a genuinely authentic human being. Right? He's
Yes, indeed.
genuinely interesting. So that authenticity and interestingness, I think, are really, really important as we go forward in this world today. I think I just wanted to flag off those two words.
That's a
Absolutely.
very good point. Very good point. Sir, I have one question for Mr. Aditya Chatterjee. Sir, are you there? Sir? Sir, can you unmute yourself? Sir? Anyway, I'll keep this
Tell me.
question open. Yeah, okay, sir. Sir,
Tell me.
fine. So I had this small observation. So recently, I've been seeing this trend that using memes to interact with the customers, with the netizens, with the common public. So whenever a meme comes up, and then the brands start joining the bandwagon. So earlier there was this meme on Vinod, and Paytm, Netflix changed their name for a while, and then there is Party Hurry, a recent meme again. So what they are doing is they are using these memes to interact with the audience. So what are your observations regarding this? How do you feel about it?
রাজার হাত থেকে যে অদিতি মুন্সি নামিয়েছে এই জায়গাটা অদিতি মুন্সি কে
Sir?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yeah. So, well, that is not really, I work for a PR agency, and PR agencies don't, typically don't deal with memes, but I'll answer this question. I'll attempt to answer the question.
Yes, yes.
So, there is a word called parry, P-A-R-R-Y. Okay. So parry is a term which is often used in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens when your opponent, okay, throws a punch at you? Okay? One option is the punch back. Okay, that's the do. But sometimes you can evade punch, okay, or you can take the punch on your elbow, okay. So nothing much happens to you, okay, but you deflect the punch. That's called parrying, okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes memes are a good way of deflecting the issues. So when you crack a sort of self-deprecating humor, okay, then your young stakeholders they feel, ha, ye to masti kiya, theek hai, that kind of a thing. Okay. So sometimes some serious questions are raised, and maybe the tension is is reaching the pressure cooker stage, and you can release some of the steam by using these memes.
Yes.
So again, I mean, I'll revert to what I what I said earlier.
Yes.
The presence of mind, okay, the thinking creatively, okay, and memes is just another tool,
Yes.
okay, as opposed to, let's say, a rejoinder of, of the earlier times. One has to move with the times. One has to adopt to new ways and adapt to new ways. Both adoption and adoption, both are required. And yeah.
So, sir, I think this is it for the session. If you want to give any closing remarks, so, sir, please.
Yeah, so what UKC had suggested that I talk
Yeah.
about the PR communication, the trends which happened in 2020, and
Yes.
then on to 2021. So I only had talked about the 2020 part. So 2021, I feel that it is not going to be markedly different from 2020 from the PR messaging perspective. Philosophical aspects like empathy, good business will continue to feature in corporate messaging. One of the reasons is that COVID is not going away. So I think WHO, I think day before yesterday or something, said that it is going to dog us through 2021 and perhaps till 2022. So you're not going to change your messages overnight. The messages of empathy is going to remain. What is, however, different is that the survivor's perspective. This is what we call, okay. So if you recall the old song that we shall overcome. Remember
Yes.
the song? So the the survivor's perspective says that we survived and overcome, and we shall continue to overcome and survive. Okay, sitting at home in a lockdown situation is not going to work. It needs to be business as usual. So people are going to come out of their homes and go to their workplaces, and some even working from home. So people are going to masks included, and that's how it's going to be. What is whether the economy is going to bounce back in a spectacular fashion, as some pundits have predicted, that I do not know. Uh, I'm personally skeptical, uh, but that is also people will try to talk up the market. Okay, not just the
Yeah.
stock markets, but also the overall economy, because you know so a lot of people thinking that positive things are going to happen to the economy, that thinking resulting into positive action, and therefore you actually see the numbers moving. Yeah, possible. So but let us just wait and watch.
Yes. Indeed, I am also optimistic. Now, so with this, we come to the end of this session titled New Dimensions of Brand Communication. I would like to thank Mr. Aditya Chatterjee, Ms. Prajakta Gosavi, and Mr. Saurabh Mishra for joining us in this session. And now, over to Mr. Chandan. Chandanji.
Yes, I'm just.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Nitesh. In fact, I have been a patient listener, and I was just trying to get all the inputs coming off from this lovely panel. You made this panel discussion more interesting. A great moderation by you, Nitesh. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Ms. Prajakta, for joining in this session. We heard some good insights and content from you. Mr. Aditya Chatterjee, we were glad to have you in this panel discussion. And Professor, and we have also Mr. Aditya Chatterjee who are there, and Sai Nageshji couldn't join. Saurabh Mishra ji, we could hear you. I was looking forward if I could also see you, but maybe some technical glitch have you on the screen. But some great content came from this panel discussion. So thank you so much for joining us. Let me move ahead to the next panel discussion. Thanks, Prajakta ji. Thanks, Aditya. Thanks, Nitesh. And
Thank you.
Mr. Saurabh Mishra.
Thank you. Thank you so
very much. Thanks.